बिस्मिल्लाह।
एक इसमें सर्च कर रहा था मैं एग्जैक्टली कौन सा लोकेशन है आयत।
जी, आयत आप यहाँ से शुरू करेंगे 21वां से, सूरह आले इमरान 21वीं आयत से।
ओके। आऊज़ु बिल्लाह, ये कुल इन कुंतुम से है ना?
नहीं, इन्नल्लज़ीना यकफुरूना बिआयातिल्लाहि, यहाँ से 21वां आयत है। आले इमरान, सूरह आले इमरान।
आऊज़ु बिल्लाहि मिनश शैतानिर रजीम, बिस्मिल्लाहिर रहमानिर रहीम। इन्नल्लज़ीन यकफुरूना बिआयातिल्लाहि व यक़्तुलूनन नबिय्यीन बिग़ैरि हक़्क़िन व यक़्तुलूनल्लज़ीन यअमुरूना बिल क़िस्ति मिनन नासि फ़बश्शिरहुम बिअज़ाबिन अलीम। उलाइका अल्लज़ीना हबितत अअमालुहुम फ़िद दुनिया वल आखिरति वमा लहुम मिन नासिरीन। अलम तरा इलल्लज़ीना ऊतू नसीबम मिनल किताबि युदऊना इला किताबिल्लाहि लियहकुम बैनहुम सुम्मा यतवल्ला फरीक़ुम मिनहुम वहुम मुअरिज़ून। ذلك بأنهم قالوا لن تمسنا النار إلا أياما معدودات وغرهم في دينهم ما كانوا يفترون فكيف إذا جمعناهم ليوم لا ريب فيه ووفيت كل نفس ما كسبت وهم لا يظلمون. قل اللهم مالك الملك تؤتي الملك من تشاء وتنزع الملك ممن تشاء وتعز من تشاء وتذل من تشاء بيدك الخير إنك على كل شيء قدير. تولج الليل في النهار وتولج النهار في الليل وتخرج الحي من الميت وتخرج الميت من الحي وترزق من تشاء بغير حساب. لا يتخذ المؤمنون الكافرين أولياء من دون المؤمنين ومن يفعل ذلك فليس من الله في شيء إلا أن تتقوا منهم تقاه ويحذركم الله نفسه وإلى الله المصير. قل إن تخفوا ما في صدوركم أو تبدوه يعلمه الله ويعلم ما في السماوات وما في الأرض والله على كل شيء قدير. يوم تجد كل نفس ما عملت من خير محضرة يوم تجد كل نفس ما عملت من خير محضرة وما عملت من سوء تودوا لو أن بينها وبينه أمدا بعيدا ويحذركم الله نفسه والله رؤوف بالعباد. صدق الله العلي العظيم وصدق رسوله النبي الكريم.
Jazakallah khair. So in this ruku, inshallah, we will find it, the testament of the people who in previously had, disobeyed or, refused to believe in the ayats or the verses of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And not only so, they went and slew the prophets that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had sent for the guidance of Allah, for the mankind. So as for those who deny the signs or verses of Allah and the defiance of the right and slay the prophets, and slay those who teach just dealing. So not only those people Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent for the guidance, Bani Israel had a habit of slaying them, and then slew a lot of prophets that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had sent for the guidance. And also the people who had the knowledge of book, and when there was a dispute, they would, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had sent some people who had knowledge of the scriptures, and they would like to mediate and try to settle the disputes with the criterion of the scriptures. But they also slew them as well, because there was a lot of injustice that had penetrated the Bani Israel, and they slew many prophets, including Yahya alayhi salam. They went after them, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala chastised them. All the prophets, there was whole big number of prophets that were sent to Bani Israel, and they had disobeyed them, and in some cases, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saying, "Ulaika allazina habitat amalam." Those are the people who have wasted their deeds in this dunya and akhirah, and for them there would not be any helpers. So when somebody disobeyed the Allah and His message and His messengers, so Allah's wrath come on them. So that's why they had the wrath of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then this Surah Al Imran is basically addressed toward the Christians, because Christians, their belief system, how they have added and subtracted the teachings into the scriptures they had it. So exclusive to Hazrat Isa alayhi salam, Allah Ta'ala had revealed Injil for them, and the real knowledge of Injil was with some few people, but selfishness, greed, and a lot of bad things came to them. So when they would find a judgment according to the scriptures against them, they will slew the judge themselves and those people who try to mediate with them. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, "Alam tara ila allazina utu nasiban min al-kitabi yad'una ila Allah liyahkum bainahum summa yatawalla fariqun minhum wa hum muridun." So have you seen, Alam tara means have you seen a person, allazina utu was given, nasiban means part. Nasib, this we use this word as a fate or qismat, but nasib, the literal meaning of nasib means the portion. So here that means that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had given them the portion of the scriptures, because all the previous scriptures, we know it, that it was Torah for Musa alayhi salam, it was Zabur for Dawud alayhi salam, and it was Injil for Isa alayhi salam. And now the Christians, they combinedly call it Bible, the whole Bible. And they, on the other hand, Jews, they do not believe in the Injil, but they believe in the Torah and also the Zabur, and they call it the Hebrew Bible or the Old Testament. But there were many things, because when it comes to the justice, they did not follow the justice. In the justice, there is always letter of the law, and there is a spirit of the law. So this Bani Israel, they started following the just the letter of the law, and they tried to maazallah go around it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had commanded them not to do fishing on Saturday. What they would do, they will go on Friday, set up the traps, and what they would do, they will not fish on Saturday, and Sunday they will come and pull the nets. So technically, they did not do the fishing on Saturday. They only set up the traps on Friday and pull those fishing nets on Sunday. So, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's wrath came on them, and they were turned into monkeys. So it was the wrath, because they were trying to outsmart the law. Another thing that happened, that in Bani Israel, when it came to justice, what happened in the very Surah Baqarah got its name, that one of the group of Bani Israelis, they had killed their own uncle. What had happened, that there was a rich person, rich merchant in Bani Israel, and he had in his will named his nephews for the will, that he did not have his own children, so he had named his own nephews. But those nephews could not wait till the death of the uncle, so they slew him. And when they slew him, so just for the investigation, they could to Musa alayhi salam, and Musa alayhi salam say that slaughter a cow. And they said, okay, are you joking with us? Because they could not comprehend what does an investigation of a murder has to do with slaughtering a cow. And this is what Surah Baqarah got the name. Baqarah means cow, and that's how it got this name. So they started arguing that what kind of cow it will be, what age it will be, and what color it will be, what gender of cow they wanted. So instead of following the commandment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they were trying to play around with the words and commandments and all that. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is mentioning all those. So same thing happened with these Christians. They started any judgment, they do not like it, what they would do, that they will kill the judge themselves. And from the scriptures, if there's something, they try to, because this Injil or the New Testament, like they have in the form of gospels, that now today they accept 4 gospels: gospel of Barnabas, gospel of John, Luke, Matthew, and Mark. These are the 4 gospels they accept. But there were about, numerically, there were 50 people who collected the teachings of Jesus or Isa alayhi salam, and they were actually the summary of the teachings of Isa alayhi salam, or Injil. But later on, initially Romans prosecuted Christians, but later on there was one king named Constantine, or in Urdu we call it Constantine. He converted to Christianity. He was the first Roman king who had converted to Christianity, and he had outlawed all the other gospels except those 4 gospels that they read. So this is their 4 different narration of Injil or the Bible that they accepted. But there were a lot more. I was just giving example of one of the gospel, that was the Gospel of Thomas. So Gospel of Thomas was in circulation and reading and in practice in ancient Egypt, those Christians who lived in Egypt. And there are some miracles of Isa alayhi salam that is mentioned in Quran, that he would take clay pigeons and blow air into them, and they will become alive with the commandment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is not mentioned in any of those 4 gospels that Christians read today. It was mentioned in the Bible of Thomas that has been recently discovered in one of the excavation in Egypt. So that shows that how they were tampered with. So people of scriptures, especially Christians, they had knowledge. Bibi Khadija's cousin, his name is Warqa bin Nawfal, he had converted to Christianity, and when Bibi Khadija took Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam to him, and he was able to prophesy that when Bibi Khadija met him and took Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, so he said, I wish I was young, and when they will expel you from Makkah, I could come and support you. So Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam showed astonishment that I will be expelled from Makkah. He said, yes, you will be. So they had knowledge. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, there are some people, both Jews and Christians, they were able to recognize Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, whatever the signs that were given about Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam in their relative scriptures. Even Abdullah bin Salam, the chief rabbi of Medina, he was able to recognize Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, and just by looking at the holy face of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he was so impressed by the nur of the face of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, Nur al-Nabi, that without asking any question, he accepted Islam. So, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions all of that. ذَلِكَ بِأَنَّهُمْ قَالُوا لَن تَمَسَّنَا النَّارَ إِلَّا أَيَّامًا مَّعْدُودَاتٍ. And this is all because Jews, because they had all kind of prophets, all the way from, Hazrat Ishaq alayhi salam, Hazrat Yaqub alayhi salam, Hazrat Yusuf alayhi salam, Hazrat Musa alayhi salam, Hazrat Dawood alayhi salam, Hazrat Sulaiman alayhi salam, Hazrat Zakaria alayhi salam, Hazrat Yahya alayhi salam, Hazrat Isa alayhi salam. So, they started believing that we are the, chosen people of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And hellfire will not touch us except for a few days. Ayama Madudat means, Ayam means days, Madudat means the number. So, Ayama Madudat, the number of days. So, this is something Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that this is their false belief. Gharrahum, means their false belief or self-deception. Fi dinihim ma kanu yaftarun. Because, they had deceived themselves by believing in this one. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is mentioning that they are not chosen people of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah had chosen them to carry the message of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But they fail miserably. And when they fail misery, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling in the next ayat, they will be held accountable. Allah, فَكَيْفَ إِذَا جَمَعْنَاهُمْ لِيَوْمٍ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ وَفِيَتْ كُلُّ نَفْسٍ مَا كَسَبَتْ وَهُمْ لَا يُظْلَمُونَ. So what will happen on the day? There's no doubt about it. And everybody will be, compensated or rewarded for what they have earned. And no would be, there will not be any justice done to anybody. So those people who have that concept that Jesus, went to cross for us, so, we are exempt from that. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is denying their false belief that, everybody will be held accountable on the day of judgment. There's no doubt that it will have to, that will occur. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Surah Waqi'ah also mentioned, إِذَا وَقَعَتِ الْوَاقِعَةُ لَيْسَ لِوَقَعَتِهَا كَاذِبَةٌ. So there's no denying that a day will occur. And then there's another ayat. قُلْ اللَّهُمَّ مَالِكَ الْمُلْكِ تُؤْتِي الْمُلْكَ مَنْ تَشَاءُ. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives the power or the government to anybody he wishes, and he take away the power from whomever he wishes. And he's the one who can give, he can give the izzat or honor to anybody, and he can take honor from anybody, and in his hand is all the good things. Innaka ala kulli shay'in, and he's capable of doing everything. So this is how it happens that that those people, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can grant them. There are two kinds of things that some of them we see it in this world, that those people with the honor and all that, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala take away their honor when they disobey, and they think that they are very powerful people. And some people who are weak, but they are very strong in their iman, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant them honor and dignity in the later days. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is mentioning that Allah can give honor to anybody, and Allah can dishonor anybody. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the next ayah says, tulijul layla fin nahari wa tulijul nahara fil layl. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala turns night into the day and day into the night. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can actually bring forth living from dead and dead from the living. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala istarzuqu man tasha'u bighayri hisab. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give substance to anybody whom he pleases without any measure. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he says that these are two things. That first is the daylight. We see that in the morning when we see the daylight, the night is subsided and the daylight comes. So actually Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala enters day into the night and the night into the day. But it also has a metaphoric meaning that, from the dead society or the dead heart, when there's no iman, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for example, in pagan Arabia, when Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam came, so it was a dead society, morally dead, bankrupt society. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, with barakat of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, turned the whole dead hearts into the full of iman. Just like Allah, when there's a dead desert or the piece of land, when Allah ta'ala showers his rain, so this dead soil turns in, come to life. You can see the lush green, flowers and plants emerging out of that. Same thing happened. The rain of Rahmat came to Arabia. The rain of guidance came. So those dead hearts, they started spring. They had this false belief that these idols, these lifeless idols are our God. But when the iman came, they themselves smashed all those. And there's an ayat after that. لا يتخذ المؤمن الكافرون أولياء من دون المؤمنين. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that do not make kafir friends and do not make the friendship with them. So what is that? For example, is it on the individual basis Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that, at my job, I have few people who are not Muslims, but they are my friends, my neighbors, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So it is not the personal friendship, but friendship as a nation and as a Muslim. Those people who conspire instead of supporting the Muslim cause, they become the tool. It is mostly for the rulers who have become the tool for the non-Muslim forces, and they they play their interest. And the background of one of the is that when Nabi it happened in the 8th year of Hijrah. 8th year of Hijrah, it happened that in the 6th year of Hijrah, there was a peace treaty called Sulh Hudaybiyah between Quraysh and Muslims. And those tribes of Arabia, they had a full freedom to choose whichever side they want to choose as their allies. So there were two tribes in the suburb of Mecca, Banu Bakr and what was the other? There was a Banu Bakr and other tribe. So Banu Bakr had forged an alliance with Quraysh, and the other tribe had forged alliance with Muslim. So what happened that Banu Bakr, they went and killed some people from Muslim tribe. And Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, when he heard of that, first he tried to negotiate, but when Quraysh did not, so he started the march toward Mecca. And when he did that, so there was one Sahabi named Hatib bin Abi Balta. So Hatib bin Abi Balta, he wrote a letter to the Quraysh that Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam is marching toward Mecca. So he wanted to warn them. And Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was told by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala about what happened. So Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, few Sahabis, including Hazrat Ali, to what he had done. Hatib bin Abi Balta, he had given some money to a woman, and she was carrying the letter as a warning to Quraysh. And Hazrat Ali went and intercepted that woman and said that, where is that letter? So she initially denied that there's a letter, but Hazrat Ali said that, if you do not hand over that letter, we will, search you. So she, out of her hair, she took out the letter and gave it to Hazrat Ali. Hazrat Ali, took that letter to Hazrat Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, and Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, it was told that it was written by Hatib bin Abi Balta, who had written the letter. So Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam summoned Hatib bin Abi Balta that why would you do such a thing? So those Sahabis around him, they became enraged that Hatib bin Abi Balta. So Hatib bin Abi Balta pleaded with Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, do not haste a decision about me. I wrote this letter because I do not have any tribal affiliation in Mecca, but my family lives there. So I wanted to write this letter. So, as a favor, they will protect my family and they will not hurt my family. So Nabi Karim Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam understood this reasoning and forgive him. So when Sahaba Kiram was a little bit surprised that such a serious mistake will be forgiven, so Nabi Karim Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, do you realize that Hatim bin Abi Balta is one of the Ashab Badr Sahabi, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given bestowed special favors. So ayat came, I believe this ayat, or there's a similar content that do not make non-Muslims your friend. So this is something regarding to that contest. It doesn't apply to a person making personal friendship with a non-Muslim who could be his neighbor, who could be his workmate, and all that. But when it comes to the political interest or the national interest of Muslims, you cannot make it a non-Muslim your friend or forge alliance. And this is sort of so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, وَمَنْ يَفْعَلُ ذَلِكَ فَلَيْسَ مِنَ اللَّهِ فِي شَيْءٍ. So anybody who makes non-Muslims their friends, so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't hold any account, any protection for him. إِلَّا أَن تَدْخُوا مِنْهُمْ تُقَى. So unless you fear it, because in sometimes you, just like Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he also, what he did, he stuck a deal with Quraysh, which was Sulh Hudaybiyah, and that is acceptable. Like, you forge some kind of deals with non-Muslims, a no-war pact, a truce, or some kind of arrangements that, which will be working. So that is acceptable. But to forge a complete alliance with non-Muslim is not acceptable. So, وَيُحَذِّرُكُمْ Mullahu nafsa. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, wa ilallahi al-masir. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, with his own, self, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is make you fearful of that. So you are wondering that, why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is warning us again and again about the hellfire and all that, because it is the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So just like, our beloved people, our children, our grandchildren, we warn them again and again, do not go toward this dangerous thing. That will have a very bad consequence. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that's why he's giving warning and warning with his self, with his kalam, with his anbiya, that, do not go toward the path of shaitan. Do not go to the path of the astray, because it will have a very bad consequence. So some people say that why there's so much warning. Allah is Raufur Rahim. Allah is the most compassionate. Allah is Rahman Rahim. So this is the reason Allah subhanahu. A person who is indifferent to somebody, he's have a different attitude. He says that, why don't you stop that person from doing that route? He says, I don't care. He goes, that's his, he will face the consequence. But Allah is Raufur Rahim, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is warning Muslims, do not go toward that again and again. Just like, we love somebody, our children or grandchildren, we warn them again and again. Do not go something dangerous or so. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala next time, قُلْ إِن تُخْفُوا مَا فِي صُدُورِكُمْ أَوْ تُبْدُوهُ يَعْلَمُهُ اللَّهُ. So anything you hide that is in your chest or in your breast, and you hide it or you reveal it, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows everything. وَيَعْلَمُ مَا فِي السَّمَاوَاتِ وَمَا فِي الْأَرْضِ. Whatever is in the heavens and earth, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows it. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is, power over everything. So, يَوْمَ تُجِدُ كُلُّ نَفْسٍ مَا عَمِلَتْ مِنْ خَيْرٍ مُعْذَرًا وَمَا عَمِلَتْ مِنْ سُوءٍ تُوَدُّ إِنْ بَيْنَهُمَا وَبَيْنَهُمْ أَمَدًا بَعِيدًا. So in the day of judgment, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make everything accountable. So each a minor, the most minor of the minor sins he has done, it will be presented to him. And the minor of the minor good deed he has sent. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Hasib, means he's the one who can reckon, things like that. So whatever system we have it, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned it differently. In Surah Yasin, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that in the day of judgment, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will seal their lips and their own limbs will talk. So that could mean Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows, just like we have DNA technology and some microchip technology which can tell the whole data into it. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala might have something in our limbs, something in anything. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that all our deeds, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will hang them in his own neck. So maybe there's a microchip somewhere in our body that will not be destroyed. Or Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I'm just giving you example what we understand. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala might have some different technology. Our own skin is recording all our deeds. Our own limbs are recording all the deeds. Just like in the tape recorder, every sound is saved. So maybe our skin will play something like a audio thing. So Allah knows the best. So every bani duty will be presented. You did this good thing on that day and that occasion. You did that bad thing. So now those people who had done the bad things and they thought that they will get away with it, so they wish there was a lot of distance between their bad deed and themselves. They do not want to do anything with that. But they could not deny it because it will be presented to them. Just like here, if somebody commits a crime and CCTV recording is shown to him, he cannot deny that is all in black and white or in front of him. So similarly, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will have it. He's a hasib. He has a technology. He has a record keeping that each and every record will be presented to him, which he cannot deny. Nobody will be able to deny because it will be presented to him. And those people who have more good deeds, their book of deeds will be given to them in the right hand side, their right hand. And those people who have done more bad, their book of deed will be given to their left. So this is Ashab Shimal are the people who are the left-handed people. Ashab al-Yamin are the people who are right-handed people. So those Jannati people will be given their deed books or their Amal Nama in the right-hand side. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is mentioning that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala again is saying that Allah cautions you. Allah cautions you of that great calamity or the great hardship that will come on the day of judgment. Those people who find themselves that they do not have adequate good deeds. So they will regret that day. We would wish we would have. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala again saying that Allah is warning you because Allahu Raufum bil ibad. Allah is the most compassionate. Allah doesn't want people to go to the hellfire. That's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is warning again and again. And in the day of judgment, something else will happen. Just like all the good deeds will be presented to him, all the bad deeds will be present to him, but there are some good deeds that he will not be able to recognize. He said that, what are those? I do not recognize. Most of the deeds he will recognize. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will tell him that these are the du'as that you did in this world, but they were not answered, or you thought they were not answered. So those unanswered du'as, like somebody pray, oh, I wish I had a limousine car, Lamborghini car, and he realized that those du'as he thought that were not accepted, but Allah Ta'ala saved them. And in the day of judgment, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave them as a good reward, unanswered prayers will become the good deeds. And when he will see, he would not be able to recognize it, because so he would wish, I wish that none of my supplications were answered. I would rather get it, all of them in the unanswered prayer, they will be converted to good deeds and presented to me. So that will be the wish of a person whose supplications were not answered. So قُلْ إِن كُنْتُمْ تُحِبُّونَ اللَّهَ فَاتَّبِعُونِي يُعَذِّبْكُمُ اللَّهُ وَيَغْفِرْ لَكُمْ ذُنُوبَكُمْ وَاللَّهُ غَفُورٌ رَحِيمٌ. So now this address of this ayat is to Christians, because the whole Ali Imran is addressing toward Christians, because as I said, the background of that is that a group of people from Najran came, which were Christians, and to Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And they believe that, we love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that, if you love me, you have to follow my Nabi. So this is the secret that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this is the next ruku, inshallah. But I'm giving you a heads up. So inshallah, we'll end here. And if there's any questions, inshallah, I'll welcome that. Or if you want to add any comments to that. Any brothers has any questions?
अस्सलाम वालेकुम भाई, अस्सलाम वालेकुम।
वालेकुम सलाम, कैसे हैं?
जी जी अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह।